There are many famous tales of star-crossed lovers, Romeo and Juliet, Pride and Prejudice, but perhaps the greatest of all is Emo the Musical, aka the struggle to belong. Join me as I bare my teenage soul about my warring, dueling identities between both the emo and Christian subcultures, accompanied by the music from my high school rock band, My Last Revelation, with me on the drums. Let's hit it! Welcome to the Live a Meaningful Story podcast, where we explore connections between the movies we love and the stories we live. We are friends and colleagues with backgrounds in storytelling, filmmaking, teaching, and narrative therapy. Join us on our quest to unlock the power of storytelling for your life. I'm Derrick Hatch.
My name is Nick Natal.
Hello, everybody. I'm Joseph Wilson.
I'm Jason Lin.
All right, guys, welcome back to Schlock Fest.
Yeah.
We are in round 3. My pick for Schlock Fest. How's everybody doing?
Doing great.
Doing good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all right, yeah.
Locking it up.
Schlocking it up. But we are not schlocking it up alone today because we have a very special guest joining us on this episode.
Who are you slocking it up with, Derrick? Who's on this episode?
The great Tori Hatch, a.k.a. my wife.
Hello, everybody.
Hey.
Thanks for inviting me.
Welcome. Tori's on the mic.
Welcome to our show.
Yes.
This
So-
is a show.
So years ago, Tori said if we'd ever do Emo the Musical on the podcast, I'll come on. And lo and behold, here we are.
Here
It
we
made
are.
it to Schlock Fest.
Yep.
And it wasn't going to come until a few months ago when you guys were over at my house for my birthday party.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else had left. We put on a movie and we put on Emo the Musical.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was, as we were watching it, thinking, yep, this needs to somehow make it on the podcast. And here we are.
Yeah, it was very interesting watching it with the both of you. It was like if we had watched this in high school, this is exactly how you guys were like, oh yeah, man, like remember this? Like I totally like, oh, I relate to that 100%. I'm like, that's hilarious because I'm like, I don't know any of this.
It's like a
But
whole new world for you,
It
Joe.
is. Whole new world, Aladdin
So
status.
this is why
This is what they were doing on the other side. That's crazy.
Oh. Jason, Nick,
Joe
how
acts like he didn't know, but he knew.
I knew. Okay,
He knew.
I knew the
He
musical
knew.
side. The musical side, I
yeah,
can relate
I was like,
to.
Joe, we got
I
him.
can relate to the musical side, but not all of the other black leathers and all the other
Oh, that
things.
part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's still guts.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it's crazy because the first 2 years of high school, I was a self-identifying emo. Like, that's how I would have labeled myself.
That were your pronouns?
Yes, that would have been my pronouns.
I thought you weren't into labels.
Yeah,
Ooh.
that is a huge irony of
This
the emo
song
movement.
doesn't have a
Huge-
name.
Yes, exactly. It's a
trapped
huge
themselves,
irony.
yeah.
Huge irony there. And my last 2 years, I ditched that and I was fully like born again evangelical Christian for the second 2 years. So this movie obviously speaks to me. And not only that, but also because I was coming out of the emo world, entering into the Christian world, and I found my own Trinity.
Yes, that was my world.
Mhm.
Yes. So Nick, Jason, what'd you guys think of the movie when you first saw it?
This movie's kind of wild, but it was funny. I don't really like musicals that much, and it's pretty cringy some of the times.
Yep.
And some of the jokes are really, really good. I think the DNA one.
Oh yeah, we'll get there.
But
Yeah,
no.
that's my favorite.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was ridiculous. I'm shocked that it's the lowest of the Schlock scores.
It is the
on Letterboxd.
lowest out of
that is
all
kinda
4 of
crazy.
our
I'm
movies.
shocked. I
Yeah.
think that's just because it's Australian.
I'm sorry, y'all, but Letterboxd, you got this wrong.
I think
2.7. So with each level of schlock we talked about,
was
we
good.
started with
Feels
Joe's,
Mhm.
and Joe picked Four Brothers,
Four
and that's
Brothers,
what
just
I
Four
would
Brothers.
categorize as Walmart $5 bargain bin
Yep.
schlock.
Mhm.
Jason's Lake Placid is Sci-Fi Channel original schlock.
Yep.
Mhm.
Emo the Musical is easily Netflix direct-to-streaming
Yep.
schlock. Yep.
I 100% agree.
This is easily, because that is how I found it. I found it on Netflix,
Oh, wow.
and it was a direct-to-streaming movie.
This honestly would be something like, oh yeah, let's see what is just on right now because
Yep.
I don't have anything else to watch.
Like
oh, it's a
late night-
musical.
Yep, that's exactly how Tori and I found it. Was just scrolling one day, just like that.
Not once in my life have I ever said, "Oh, it's a musical,"
Bro, I listen.
and clicked in.
Listen, I have been singing, I guess, since out the womb. I was doing it for church. I was doing it for high school. You could pretty much call me Michael Jackson out there. And my daddy was Joe Jackson.
Oh, man. All right, so we're going to go ahead and hop into this here. So let's do the letterboxd, and then we'll dive in. High school sucks. Ethan, a sullen high school student whose life is defined by what he hates, finds love with a blindly optimistic Christian girl, Trinity, much to the annoyance of his angst-filled bandmates and her evangelistic brethren. So this movie's pretty hard to find now. It's not on Netflix or any streaming service, so I'll actually drop a link to it because it is on YouTube for free at the time of recording this. So you could check this out if you dare. The director of this film, his name is Neil Treffitt, and he is also the writer of both the story, the screenplay, and the songs.
Okay.
So I think it's interesting again that I just happened to pick this movie and I'm like right now writing a play / musical and directing it. So
Cool.
Has it kind of inspired you seeing it again? This is like, oh my gosh, like connection now.
Yeah. This was just a guy who wanted to do this, put all his money into it, and then said, peace out.
This is the only thing you ever made?
It's the only thing he ever made.
Well, a lot of respect.
That's
a lot of respect.
So speaking of songs and musicals, I think all we're going to do is just quote this movie because that's all my notes are just quotes. So yeah, I love that you've got all these different characters here. You've got the emos and the Christians, and they hate each other, but yet at the same time,
they're just like
they're very much the same, right? So there's the scene where Ethan goes to the new school. He gets expelled from his old school for trying to supposedly commit suicide, but you learn that he was just faking it.
Yeah.
Which is amazing because like this movie like understands the headspace for being emo, you know? Like it really does. So he meets Isaac, who's like the leader of like the church youth group. And so
Oh, it's coming back.
It's coming back, right? And he's like,
did you rewatch it?
No.
Oh, yeah.
he sees that he's like an outcast and he doesn't know anybody. So immediately swoops in and he's trying to be nice, right? But then you realize that he's just trying to get him to come to church.
And then they do some song there too, right?
Yeah, so they do
that's my favorite song.
The Give Up song.
Yeah,
the Give Up
that's
song
right off the
one.
bat. They're swinging for the fences right off the bat.
Yeah, it's a really good song.
So the lyrics of this song, the lyrics go, it's okay to know when you're not enough because Jesus still loves people who aren't good at stuff.
Such a strong.
It's all right to give up. Give up. All he wants is an A grade for what's inside your heart.
Just sing the duet with your.
Yeah, right. Right?
Just give up.
Going up. Just give up.
Now, what's amazing is that Tori actually, you noticed this last night, is like when they're singing the song, everyone's actually listening to them. And then when they say, come to church, come to church, come to church with me, everybody dips out.
Everybody's fine when it's give up. It's almost like the emo culture is the same. Like,
There's like a weird overlap there. They're listening. They're hearing him out.
They listen to Give Up.
Yeah. And then it's like, well, actually surrender.
Well, because the Christians have a song in there called Just Give Up, and the emos have a song called We're All Gonna Die. So there's like a weird kind of existentialism they both share. Yeah.
Our last revelation, right?
My last revelation, yeah. So that was my band name, and it's funny because even in the band name, it was like supposed to be a hybrid of emo and Christian ideas. What did you text Nick earlier?
Oh, it's fantastic. Perfectly suicidal, emo. This is my last revelation. Gee. Cover should have just been a cough.
It does have the blood splats coming out of the logo.
There's like blood on the. It's like the Daredevil hallway. Just blood on the ground.
So, fun fact: that's actually how Tori and I met. So, Tori, was it like a school magazine you were a part of?
Yeah, I was supposed to interview you guys, the band.
I thought you were supposed to interview the other band.
No, I knew the people in the other band, but I
Uh-huh.
didn't know you guys. But one of the girls was supposed to interview them, and I was supposed to interview you guys.
You got assigned to us.
Yes, I did.
Was that the better band?
Oh, yeah, you guys were by far the better band.
Cool.
That's because the other band played Red Hot Chili Peppers, which I absolutely hate. And then you
Yeah.
guys played all original music for the most part, and
Yeah.
you were actually good.
This,
So,
this was in high school, right?
high school, yeah.
That's so funny.
So you would have been
This
were you a
whole
junior?
experience for people.
I was either a
Cool.
junior.
Yeah, you had. I think-
It must have been,
you
yeah.
were a
It was
junior, I
probably
was a
like very
senior.
early my junior year.
Yeah.
Can I read the track list off?
I read it.
Track 1, Alpha, The Commencement.
Mm-hmm.
2, Back to Life. 3, Hopeless Hope. 4,
All future trunks.
Beyond the Rivers of Babylon. 5,
That's a good one.
Threefold. I'm upset you didn't put that at 3, but okay. 6, My Epiphany.
Yep.
Runtime 24 minutes.
It
This
is.
should play in the beginning credits and end
I should-
credits of the
I should play
podcast.
the songs from
Yeah,
here. I
yeah.
think I will. Maybe I'll add them in.
That's cool. Can't copyright that one.
So
I'll
when
say, yeah,
so when
that's what's
Ethan meets Trinity, he's like, if those guys see me with you, I'll be as popular as an Ebola patient at a birthday party.
Yeah.
There's like 3 Ebola jokes in this movie. So Ebola must
Yeah, but it
be a
was a
big
big
issue in
thing.
Australia or something.
Oh man.
I don't know. But I love that like he looks at Trinity is like, do you notice anything about me? And she's like, no. And then he does this.
Yes.
The Peter Parker Spider-Man 3,
That's
Tobey
so
Maguire,
good.
right? That does the hair thing. And then that's when she's like, you're an emo?
Is that why you like really defended Spider-Man 3 when it came out too?
Spider-Man 3 might have had the strongest reaction I ever had in a movie theater. When Peter did that, when he's looking in the mirror and he does that to his hair, I was like, I feel seen!
He was like, he's really like me for real.
I went with like all my emo friends at the time, and we were like applauding
Like me
that
for
whole
real.
sequence where he's like,
Then dorky, like the
I'm
dance.
gonna put some dirt in your eye. Like that whole section of the movie was just us clapping for like 10
Every
minutes.
single other person was like, what
Yeah.
is that?
And we were
What?
It's
What
because
is
we
he
couldn't
doing?
relate.
But you had the emos in the back.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I've always had a sense of humor about being able to laugh at myself. Whether it's like emo subculture,
That's so
Christian
funny.
subculture, always
Yeah.
been able to laugh at myself.
Peter Parker officially emo.
Yeah.
Maguire.
Bully McGuire.
So this is really a movie about people trying to fit in. So Ethan is trying to get into the band Worst Day Ever. He's trying to impress Bradley. And then when he does the audition, he says, this song doesn't have a name because I'm not into labels. I don't even care if you like it. There's part of me that's still like that. It doesn't really like labels, but it is irony because the only label that matters when you're emo is the emo label. So there is a label that matters. Now, as that's happening, do you guys remember the school? What's happening to the school?
They're
They're going
passing
through-
out. No, they're passing out. Oh, serotonin.
yeah,
Antidepressants.
Yeah.
Because they get sponsored by a
By
pharmaceutical
yeah, that's
company.
Right. Oh my gosh.
What
And
was
they-
the poster?
Depression is selfish. Take
Yes, that's right.
serotonin.
I want that. I'm on eBay, right? Hold on. Hold on.
The merch
Please get that. Please get that.
Hold on. Depression is selfish.
Nick, that can
Take
go on our
ser-
living room wall.
I've actually heard Christians say that though.
That depression is selfish?
Yes, I have actually heard Christians say that. I think that's interesting. So Ethan and Trinity, they have to do a class project together where they have to write a love song, and you see them together in the house. And
Wait,
what?
first you have to say what did he do when he invites her into the house? And he says, "Welcome to hell."
Yes.
And
thank
it's like
you.
this nice house, and like his mom clearly put out cookies for them, and like best thing ever.
Most emos are just suburban kids from middle class families.
Right.
Because if
That's
you
the friends I needed
notice,
to be with.
if you notice in the songs in the
They're
movie,
not actually
girl-
poor.
I was right. I was got some cookies.
if you guys notice in the songs in the movies, they're never actually singing about any of their problems.
Mm-hmm.
They're singing all about what's wrong with the world.
Yeah.
And that's why they're depressed.
Found
And-
it.
You found the poster? Oh my gosh.
How much is it?
$14.
That's not bad at all. That's not bad at all. How big is it?
It's got that sunflower with the green background. It's perfect. United World State Pharmaceuticals. Depression is selfish. Take serotonin.
Let's get a frame for that.
I was thinking you put it like on the door, like your front door.
Get a doormat.
Yeah. That would be okay. Sorry, so side tangent. That would be actually sick.
And doesn't the principal say, like during morning announcements, if you're not feeling 100%, you probably should be medicated?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the next poster right here.
Send me that link. Send me that one. I may get
Do
that.
decorations for your
getting-
apartment,
We're
Jason.
getting both
Yeah,
of them.
that's
They're
going
side
in.
by side. That's so good.
Oh,
So Trinity asks Ethan, why are you emo? And he gives this like definition here. Everyone pretends to be happy all the time. People are starving and the world is fair. I'd rather just be depressed. It's not even his own problems. It's just, and it's funny because when I look at my own songs, like the early songs I was writing when I was in peak emo, it was the same thing. I wasn't really writing much about my personal problems. I was writing about everything wrong with the world. But there's also like in Christianity, that's also
I was
like,
gonna say, so like emos
Yeah.
are pretty like
Just
empathetic.
Christians.
Yeah, pretty much. Like they,
yeah.
They're just Christians.
yeah, they're just
With no
Christians.
hope.
They're the same people.
Christians with no hope. It's
No.
like,
Yeah.
Or I guess
Hopeless hope.
go with no, I guess, identity in a sense, because
Yeah.
their identity would be to Christ, and they would feel these things because of Christ, of what with the Holy Spirit and stuff like that. But that is
Yeah.
crazy. It's just like I'm not
line is so
really
thin.
sad. I'm sad about everyone else.
Mhm.
Well, their identity is in the despair.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah,
that is
that's
so
true.
true. Well, and trying to conform to that certain image, because you're a nonconformist, but you're trying to conform to the image of emo.
We don't vote for conformists.
Right.
Yeah, that's what the little kids do, right? Is they all flip their hair back at the same time.
Thank you for breaking down the science context.
There's a moment where Trinity's like, "Do you like folk music?" And he's like, "I used to love it until people pointed out how lame it was." So then there's the scene where they're reading the love songs, and Trinity's love song.
I think it's likely that your parents like you.
Your manic depression might just be a bad day. Your lonely shirt is just a cry for Jesus.
Don't worry, he and I are on our way.
You guys should redo this as like this movie just a little bit. Do a little short film of it. You want to?
We can make our own
Just
version. of it.
recreate the movie for the Kravis Center.
Yeah.
Just tell everybody to write and say those lines.
Yeah. The
You know,
hype-y.
it's funny. I
This
was
is your
watching some
script.
analysis videos on YouTube, and one of the guys is like, "Please make this an actual play."
Yeah.
It was funny, but all the analysis videos are the same. Everyone starts off like the watch parties and stuff. Like this movie's gonna suck, and then by the end they're like, "Oh, that's actually pretty good."
Yeah.
There's something about the
That's
movie.
how I felt.
Yeah, that's how everyone feels. And then you watch it and you're like, "Oh, there's actually a lot here."
I
One
think
of
it
the-
offends everybody.
It does
in
kind of
some
offend
way.
every- but it's
going
not
to
like-
offend everybody.
But it's not mean spirited.
No,
That's the
it's
thing.
not.
It's
No.
very
Yeah.
wholesome and there's like a charm to it. You know.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, so there's a lot of tension between Isaac and Bradley, the leaders of each of the bands, right? So I love how Isaac says, "You're not smart enough to be the Antichrist."
I remember
That got
that
me.
one.
Yeah. The band actually, there's 4 people in each band, and they actually correlate with each other really well. So Ethan and Trinity are obviously the star-crossed lovers, forbidden romance, right? You have Bradley and Isaac, who are both the egotistical like leaders who are trying to get everyone to conform to them.
Mhm.
And they even actually have the same lines of dialogue that are mirrored. So like when Ethan's playing, when they're about to play Worst Day Ever, Bradley looks at Ethan and says, "Nothing fancy."
You're the backup guitarist.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then when at the end of the movie, when he's playing with Hope Group, the Christian band, Isaac turns to him in the same pose and says, "Remember, nothing fancy.
Mm.
You're the back." And it's just like the same. They're the
Yeah.
same. They're the same person in a lot of sense, but they can never understand it. Then there's Jay, the drummer, and the girl
Amalia.
Jamalia. Yeah, so they're both kind of like the ones who are just to go with the flow, and they
Mhm.
actually kind of get together at the end of the movie, which is cute.
Jay.
And then
I like
you-
Jay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jay,
Jay's
dude, he's
chill.
like blasting everybody, and then
Yeah.
he's like, "Jay, you're all right."
Right, yeah.
He's like, "Yes."
Jay's doing pretty well.
Jay's doing his thing.
He's like, "Yeah, this email thing's kind of a side
Like,
gig."
yeah.
I think the best
Or
line,
if-
the best line that Jay has is,
The exercise. He's like, all this exercise, it's bad for my lungs.
well, there's another line where he says, "I haven't seen Bradley this bad."
Oh, yes. When Bradley's mad at
At Isaac
Ethan for
faking.
suicide, and everyone knows that it's fake. Jay walks up and says, "I haven't seen Bradley this mad since Christmas."
Yeah.
Oh,
that's good. Doesn't he get stabbed in the leg?
Oh yeah, so he's got the
Yes.
tambourine when they're breaking the instruments, and he's got a pitchfork, and he stabs
his own leg.
Stabs his own leg.
Yeah,
And when
he's-
you see in the assembly, he's still bleeding. He's holding it.
I love the continuity.
And then the last two members are Ross. So she's the one who's good at basketball, but she's trying to hide that because
Uh-huh.
emos aren't supposed to be good at sports.
That's so fun.
And Peter, the one who's gay, right? Because they're both hiding something.
Mm-hmm.
So all of them correlate with each other. Trinity really wants to convert Ethan, wants to get him baptized.
Mm.
So she talks about how she tried to baptize this boy. And then there's a scene of them in the kiddie pool where she's like in the revealing bathing suit and they're in the kiddie pool and it's like holy water that's going into it. She's like, so I got a song in my head. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Just trying to baptize.
That's so wild.
But isn't that interesting though? Because like, and I'm even guilty of this when I first became a Christian. It's all about just trying to get people across the line, just trying to get saved so you feel good about yourself, right? And so everybody in this movie is trying to either belong or push someone towards something.
Yeah.
And so they end up breaking up because Ethan burns her Bible. Harsh right
that
there.
That was wild.
Yeah.
I think you noticed this, Nick. They break up and there's a sign above them when they're singing their breakup song separately that says, "This is a happy school sponsored by the the pharmacy company." Oh man. I remember I had a really bad day one day in high school and I brought the Black Parade, like the CD, right? It's the greatest emo album. And so we had a science teacher that let us play music. And so she would play like typical, like Justin Bieber, Black Eyed, all that garbage that people would want. And I'm like, all right, can we put this in? Now, Black Parade has a lot of explicit lyrics, and I didn't tell her it was going to be like that. And so you're just hearing like these F-bombs and like talking about suicide and depression and all these things. And I'm just like sitting there having the best day in class, and everybody else is like, what is this? Turn this off. And then my teacher shut it off after like 4 songs.
Wow, she let
She
you
had to
go.
do 4 songs.
She got us 4 songs in. All right, so let's start wrapping this up. So we get to the moment where Trinity is in the church youth group, and she sings what is, I think, maybe the funniest song in the whole movie.
Jesus is an emo.
Jesus is an emo. There's a line right before she sings the emo song that I think is the whole movie. She says, "I wanted him to be like us, but maybe Jesus doesn't mind if we're different." That's the whole movie in a nutshell. I think that's what it's the thesis statement right there. And then she says, "Do you think Jesus smiled all the time?" I don't think so.
so.
I would love to
I
know,
don't think so.
as Christians, does this song offend you guys? Think he locked himself in his room and cried? I think so. Yes, I think so. Do you think there might have been a chance he liked My Chemical Romance? Yes, I think so. Could Jesus have been an emo? His blood, it fell in crimson shades. His crucifix, a razor blade. Was Jesus?
That one.
Yeah,
that one maybe.
that was like
Maybe that one.
He felt the pain of all mankind, but emos do that all the time. Was Jesus an emo? Jesus said, "Blessed are those who mourn." Emos embrace that idea. Both suffer ridicule and scorn, misrepresented in the media. Jesus would know what they go through if he'd have been in high school too. I think that they'd persecute him like an emo. What are your guys' thoughts?
I think besides that one line.
Yeah, I think there's 1 out of 40 in there.
Yeah. I do wonder how Jesus was kind of like growing up, because it was that one instance in the Bible where he pretty much said, "Woman, don't you know what I'm doing? I'm doing my Father's work." And then we didn't hear anything since. His mama probably slapped him into the next
No,
week.
the woman was like a respectful way.
I know,
Yeah.
but it's still funny reading it as like as a black
modern-
man.
a
Yeah,
modern
just going
black
in. Yeah, exactly. Woman. Whoa. But other than that, it's just like it would be interesting.
Well,
to see.
Jesus was giving death, but also resurrection.
Mhm.
And I think that's what the emos miss, right? Is you say stuck in the sadness.
Yeah.
You say stuck in this mindset of depression because it's cool and hip and trendy, but you don't really get out of it. And that's,
They don't leave the cross.
they don't leave the cross. Yeah, they're stuck
Don't
at the
leave the
cross.
tomb.
Yeah, because even as an emo, like I loved the cross. Like I thought it was cool what it represented, but then resurrection was a bit tougher.
As we approach Resurrection Sunday.
I am so emo right
Nick,
now.
that was my idea for your tank name was emo.
No.
He's like, no.
I think hot take might be.
Hot take might be the emo name for Nick.
That's fine.
As the movie's coming to an end, they're getting ready for this rock competition, and then Bradley is like, his dialogue gets funnier and funnier as the movie goes on. He's like, maybe we should just tell. Ethan's like, maybe we should just tell them about the fire. Yeah, they'll give us medals and free money and say, "Wow, those guys are so honest." Now stop talking and start writing some dark lyrics that have nothing to do with death, depression, or suicide. If I don't have a new song by tomorrow, I'll have a hitman chop you up into so many pieces you'll look like the human version of Lego. That's for you, Jim. How do you know a hitman? What are you writing my autobiography? That would just be a biography. Quotes get so good by the end. Ethan quits the band to stand up for Peter, and he says that Bradley says that was the dumbest decision since your mom stopped using birth control.
Yeah, no, that was a good one. I'm not gonna lie, that's a good roast.
So it ends basically with these final two songs: the "Come to Church with Me" song, where the Christians and the emos are on stage together singing it. Because Ethan's trying to make things right for what he did for them, so he's helping them out. But it's cool because when both the Christians and the emos play, the people are laughing at them a little bit. Like they're both kind of like these outcasts. So this movie's a gift to humanity for figuring that out and making a whole 90-minute film about this. So
people coming together.
And when Bradley's trying to kill, like he's got Isaac, it ends with like him threatening him with a knife. And his hero, Doug Skeleton, says, I think you should do what you're told. The ultimate rebuttal. And he says, what about you say kill all the traitors? And then paint out the coffins. And then he says, what does he say?
My mom helped build the coffin. She's good at craft. I think he said something like the record label came up with that.
Yeah. And then
the whole idea of being fake. Like, all coming back.
Yeah.
So there's the final scene in the movie is authenticity on display. So Bradley gets to sing Infect Me Now, but Ethan's on stage also, and he's singing Come On, Rain on Me, which is like his folky song. Like his true self is coming out. They're singing the songs together. Trinity comes on stage and sings Jesus Was an Emo. And then the sweet moment is when Jamalia...
Finally, he says, Jesus loves me.
Yeah, because she's pregnant.
She's pregnant. She's not ashamed.
She's not trying to hide it anymore.
Exactly.
Yes.
She's like, Jesus loves me.
Ross takes off her clothes and has the basketball jersey on. Everybody's authentic. So my middle school and high school years were defined by this struggle to belong. I wasn't really athletic, and I saw that a lot of my friends had that belonging to, football, baseball, different sports teams. And I tried to get in on that, but it never really clicked. So when I was going into middle school, I saw the Beatles film A Hard Day's Night. And I'd been drumming for a few years at that point. But I saw that vision of, oh my gosh, I can have a place of belonging, but it's not on the athletic field. It's on the stage. It's with other musicians. And so I spent my entire middle school trying to form a band. And it wasn't until high school where I had a band that was really locked in. And I remember when I became a Christian and I became a part of the youth group, that also was a destination for belonging. So whether it was wanting to play with other musicians or wanting to go to church, it was all belonging that I was really craving. And so there was this tension that I had in high school between being an emo and identifying with that subculture and being a Christian. And I lost friends that were more in that emo rocker world when I became a Christian. But I was still trying to hold on to so much of that. You can even see that in the lyrics that I wrote too. Like the lyrics, I wrote about half the lyrics for this band, and you could see that tension in the lyrics there. But like Ethan and Trinity, I finally found this union, and I found it in a relationship. And there's a level of intimacy that comes in a relationship that you don't get in the group and in the institution there. And I think that's what both Ethan and Trinity, these romantics at heart, like myself, I think that's what they're after. And at the end of the day, like these characters, I think we're all trying to find a place where we can be our most authentic selves. And I'm grateful for you guys because I get to be in this season of life now where I have musicians who are believers, but we play, like rock music together, the dad band, and some of you guys have heard that. And I get you guys in this group as well, where I really get to have that sense of belonging, and I really feel that with you guys. And then of course I get it with Tori, with, my beautiful wife here. So, but it's taken me a long time, but I think I've found that balance between, like, what does it mean to be an authentic believer in Christ and an authentic human being who loves, emo and rock music and all these different things. So there's an authenticity that I appreciate and I've always appreciated about the emo subculture that I feel like has helped me to be a more authentic Christian, because I want to be a part of something real. And that is something I appreciate so much about this movie and how it brings these two worlds together. Yeah, that's all I got. All right, final thoughts on this movie.
Thank you for letting us see the inside of your, pretty much.
Feels like me
both of
and
you.
Tori. It's me and Tori in a
to be
movie.
honest, Yeah.
Yeah.
Tori, what does this movie rank for you? What do you give this movie?
5 stars and a heart.
Oh.
Hold on.
Well, that's not considered schlock then. Schlock is, what is it,
Tori,
3 under?
how did you see Derrick in his emo boy phase when he was a
Oh, that's a
kid?
good question.
Derrick lived down the street from me, even in elementary school, but we weren't friends till high school, so I really didn't see him in the full emo stage, I would say. When we first started being friends, he was more in the hyper-Christian stage.
But I did only wear black.
Yes, I bought him a blue t-shirt after we had been dating like a month, and he just looked at it and went, "It's blue."
That would be in the movie.
Yeah.
It's blue.
She was trying to
That
brighten
is
up your
so
world,
good.
Derrick.
Yeah, but she was gentle about
Yeah,
it. She didn't
exactly.
go from
What-
black to red or yellow.
Like,
What's
Yeah.
the
like,
darkest
and then
color?
You can kind of like
Dark blue,
Well, I was gonna say,
plain
was it
dark
navy?
blue. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
good.
Yeah, if you're a distance away, you'd mistake him. So
I-
he's being kind.
But I started to introduce Tori to kind of that emo music, and a lot of it some of it you kind of liked.
I think you filtered most of it.
I did
though.
filter some of it. But the funny thing also is that, like, Tori used to listen to Reliant K, and I used to listen to Reliant K. That was like our meeting ground. Reliant K is a Christian emo band.
Oh, okay. Do you know of
Yeah.
it, Jason?
Yeah, it's very like
Jason
it's
knows.
like emo light.
It is
Emo-
emo.
Did everyone
emo light.
listen to Reliant K,
Not
Switchfoot in the
not
There's-
everybody.
There's
you know.
Okay, all right.
I'm gonna rub my arm.
I think
There's
Nick hasn't either.
there's a color scale, but
we're,
everyone in
we're on the
those
darker, we're on the darker end on this side.
everyone in that in those youth groups listen to Reliant.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
if you went to
Yeah.
youth group, you listened to them, I feel.
the
like.
white kids in youth group. This
Yeah,
is what we were
exactly,
in 2000,
exactly.
2008.
I think I saw Switchfoot live actually.
Did you?
Yeah, it was
Nick,
at,
Nick and I were watching
Universal.
Wishmaster.
Yeah, I
Watership.
Yeah.
Speaking of Wishmaster, that is going to be our next film. I feel
That is good.
so. Get ready for that. I feel super naked in this episode, but thank you guys
Hey,
for letting
thanks
me
for-
bear it all.
Yeah, Derrick, you
Tori-
can finally put on a shirt.
Yep,
Yeah.
right. My all black. And Tori, thank you for coming on here, being on this.
Thank you, Tori.
Any final thoughts, Tori? I'll let you have the last word.
The last word.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say?
I won't let all of the people I know watch this movie or know that I like this movie.
It's a huge confession.
Oh, so we're that special. We got
You're
to
that
watch it.
She hasn't hit the climax
I
yet.
feel
She
like
has
anyone
to
who
wear the
sees this-
basketball jersey. She
Yeah.
has to-
Like,
you gotta be yourself, Tori.
no, like I just feel like this movie offends everything, and it's kind of like
Good.
It is a satire
It's a
romance musical.
satire-
That is literally like your three. That's your three. Like
Yeah,
three favorite genres all rolled up in
it's
one.
just hilarious.
Yeah.
But I do feel like it pushes so many buttons and pokes fun at so many things
Yeah.
that, but not in a mean spirited way, like you said, just
Yeah.
in like seriously, just
Yeah.
you have to laugh at yourself.
You
'Cause
do.
Growing up in like the church and in youth group, like all the things they said, I heard at
Yeah.
some point. Like
Mhm.
even when Isaac, he does the DNA testing to see like who did the arson in the chapel, and he gets the blood and does DNA.
Mhm.
It's like, and then he says, Bradley says he doesn't even believe in DNA. Like that was a conversation, like, you know, in like the early 2000s about not just evolution, but like DNA and like,
Mhm.
oh, all this stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like all this stuff. It's like youth group growing up in the 2000s. It's just all there.
Whether you're emo or Christian or whatever your subculture, it's the struggle to belong at the end of the day.
Yeah.
We all want to belong, and thankfully, we at this table belong together.
Aw.
Yep.
Thank you for listening to the Live a Meaningful Story podcast, produced by All Things Narrative. If you'd like to learn more about our coaching, workshops, events, please check out allthingsnarrative.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at All Things Narrative. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing and leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and tune in next time as we continue exploring the stories we love and the stories we live. Take care.